There is so much more to VR than just slicing boxes. I'm a daily user of VR, and today I'm going to show you 7 very weird or wonderful things that you can do in VR. And speaking of weird, how about erotic encounters with elves and a bisexual sorceress? That's right, the Iragon prologue is playable on PC VR for free. And if you love anime, fantasy, and your daily vocabulary includes uwu or waifu, then this might just be the perfect experience for you. You play as Derek, a young lad who dreams of becoming a knight, but things take a twisted turn when his village is raided and he's thrown into a war. And let's not forget about the women who are eager to show you a good time, because make no mistake, that is definitely a reoccurring theme. The game's combat system features both magic and melee. Right now it's pretty basic. You can parry and then slice with your sword and use flame, ice, or shock with your offhand. I can see this having potential, but in its current state it's pretty average. And in case you also want to avoid this game at all costs, it was called Iragon with an I. Now that our dopamine receptors are fully saturated, how about something a little bit more productive, like learning a language? Now, I failed English 3 years in a row, partly because of dyslexia, but if I'm honest, it was probably more to do with my World of Warcraft addiction. Still, the thought of learning something like Chinese just sounds way too hard. Nountown is a fully immersive world where all of the color has disappeared, and it's your job to interact with various objects and NPCs to learn how to pronounce these correctly, and as you do, the world will slowly return to color. Not only that, but when you log in, you'll have a curated list of words to revise based on what you've already learned, and there's heaps of fun mini games to practice. Like this one here in a cafe where customers come up to you and order an item and you have to deliver it to them on time. And I think this is one of the coolest examples of gamification yet. Right now they support 7 languages, which are Japanese, Korean, Chinese, Spanish, French, German, and Italian. VR Bikini Yoga. These guys have been around for a while now, but they have recently moved from the beach to a studio, which I'm sure some people will prefer. And the best part of this is it's just a YouTube 360 video, so you can dive straight in with basically any device, including a smartphone. And as the title says, they do short 5 to 10 minute yoga stretching sessions surrounded by girls in bikinis. While I see this having a slightly sinful side, you click because girl, and I'm sure some guys do use this as a forearm workout, but the newer sessions are unironically really good, with the timers tracking the current exercise, a seemingly very qualified instructor, and the different participants doing different levels of moves, so you can pick the variation that best matches your current ability. Stretching and yoga in VR is typically reserved for subscription-based apps, so it's nice to see a free alternative. It works better on standalone devices without any wires, and I imagine the space is only going to get better and better as devices get smaller and we start to see full body tracking. And I would say that if you are the sort of person that just goes to yoga to perv on the other class members, then perhaps it's best for everyone involved if you stay at home and do it in VR. Now that we're warmed up, how about increasing the heart rate even more by spawning cyborgs into your living room and beating them up? VR fitness is nothing new, but we are starting to see games and fitness apps bring in mixed reality like X-Fighter. I'm taking full advantage of Pico's color pass-through, but this experience also works with Quest users as well. It's a rhythm-based fitness and boxing game and comes with all the features you would expect, where you can select from their songs, which honestly ain't that great, but they also have the ability to upload your own MP3s, a scoring system with a streak multiplier, but the gameplay loop is to essentially block or dodge their attacks and then counter with your own. It's pretty simple right now, but let's hope they can build on this in the future. Your pets and TV screens will also love you because this massively reduces the chance of them receiving a punch or a kick. Have you ever wanted to be a part-time babysitter without getting paid? Well, now you can. After the success of Gorilla Tag, we're seeing more and more games take on the free-to-play gaming model. And when there's a free game, Quest kids are sure to follow. Now, I can't be too harsh on these guys because I too used to be a Quest kid. I just took on the different form of a squeaker in Counter-Strike, and I used to unleash hell on Surf Great River and Jailbreak servers. But one of these new games that got the free-to-play update is Hyperdash, which converted late last year. It's a fast-paced team shooter that includes modes like Deathmatch and Capture the Flag, and it's actually really good to pick up. But whatever you do not actively go out of your way to aggravate them, because otherwise it'll be just like Obi-Wan said, they'll soon be back and in greater numbers. If kids aren't your thing, then how about experiencing what it feels like to be a Ferrari Formula 1 driver? F1 2023 is finally here with full PC VR support. Unfortunately, they decided not to release this on the PSVR 2, which just seems like a massive wasted opportunity. This is by far the most expensive experience on the list, with the game costing over $85, and you probably want to go pick yourself up a force feedback steering wheel, or at the very least a controller. Because if you're playing a racing simulator in VR with a mouse and keyboard, then I just don't think there's any chance for you. That's probably the worst thing I've ever heard. Back to the game, it comes out once a year, and the last 2 have included PC VR support. There's a short story mode, time trials, online multiplayer, or my favorite way to play, which is to play out a season with a friend. I'm actually really bad at sim racing normally, but this is so much harder in VR. You literally have to look around in your mirror and then it's just spinella. It's almost too realistic. And confronting your fears. Now, sometimes consuming media can be scary, and VR is one of the most immersive and intense ways to consume media out there. Spooky experiences like Richie's Plank experience are great examples of this, but after F1, I wanted to give the people something free, and one of the weirdest YouTube 360 videos scenarios that are kinda scary are from MVR. From spiders to heights to being eaten by titans or even getting slapped on stage by Will Smith. If you can think of it, this guy has most likely created it. And if you're really brave, then you can even get chased around a house by Patrick. I don't recommend this shit though, that was just way too much for me. I'm curious what you guys think. What new and weird and wonderful experience have you had in VR recently? Leave a comment below, and if you made it this far, I will give you a nice little love heart button.